Welcome to The Green Rush, a podcast about the intersection of cannabis, the capital markets, and culture. On a weekly basis, hosts Ann Donahoe and Louis Goldberg of KCSA Strategic Communications speak with the CEOs, financial experts, cultural icons, legislators, and generally interesting people moving the cannabis industry forward. Today, Louis and Ann are speaking with Everett Knight, the Executive Vice President of Strategy and Investments for Valens GroWorks. Valens is the largest third-party public extractions company in Canada. They work with most of the big licensed producers in Canada, and their business is booming. The company also recently published a study on the future of cannabis in Canada, something that Ann and Louis dive into and something that you'll definitely want to check out. Don't sit back, lean forward. Now let's talk extraction.
So, Ann, I lost badly on your Game of Thrones death pool.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are losing badly.
Yeah. I think people are flipping out over what happened in the last episode when Daenerys
lost her shiz.
Basically, I have to tell you, I didn't think it was out of character.
I didn't think so either. I think they've been, and I think I come from a different perspective because I've watched only this year. So I don't have this, like, I've waited for so long and I may have forgotten certain things. Like, you know, I think they've painted her as this, you know, walking this fine line of mental illness this whole time. And I don't know. And this petition going around, like, come on, it's a show. And
get over it.
Everyone relax. It's going to be fine.
Yeah, it's a show. And also, you know, she comes from the Mad King's stock, first of all. And second of all, this is a woman who's been raped and abused and had her husband murdered, had her unborn child basically ripped out of her. She then gets these other kind of children, dragons, and sees two of them murdered in front of her eyes.
First of all, she sees her dragons as kids.
Yeah.
That's not a sign of something a little wrong.
I'm going to go, yeah, you know. I mean, mother of dragons.
We're going to get... Oh. This is probably going to... This is going to be what actually gets us real hate mail.
Oh, yeah. But it's fine. But the thing is, you may get as much as I do, which is even better.
I'm okay with that. Bring it. At AG Donahoe. Bring it.
So, you know, the other thing that I think is interesting, completely not related to Game of Thrones, because this is a cannabis podcast, was this week in New York City was the Canaccord Cannabis Conference. And holy shit, was this packed. I mean, there must have been 500 people at this. And I've been to these conferences before. You know, every single major session was filled. I mean, 200 people listening to Kush or Acreage or any of the other companies, you know, presenting. It was amazing. I mean, it was really amazing. And not the same group of, you know, 150 men and women who are investing in the space. It seemed like there was new money in the room. Now, it's not surprising that there's a lot of money because it's New York City and that's the financial capital of the world. But I was blown away by how hopping it was.
I mean, how many were there? Like compared to, I didn't go. I haven't been to either one of these. So compared to last year, are we talking like double?
I don't know if it was double, but it was a good 30% more people. And you know, it had a large swath of the Midtown Marriott right by Grand Central. It was amazing. You know, it was amazing.
Awesome.
The other thing I wanted to talk about was our producer, Shay Gunther, who we have not added into this pod. We have to add him in to Skype, which I will do now. But Shay stayed at my house last week and may have been the easiest and best house guest I've ever had.
Congratulations, Shay.
I mean, Shay literally was the best house guest. We have, you know, I made his bed for him. It was a blow-up bed. I got up in the morning ready to make coffee. Shay was not only completely dressed and ready to go, he had folded up the blow-up bed. And I must have had a couple of dozen people over the 15 years I've lived in my house stay at my house. He's the first person to ever pack up the bed. So Shay, you are welcome to stay at my house anytime you'd like. So we are talking with somebody really cool today. And why don't you kind of give us a little lead into who we're talking about?
Sure. So today we're going to be chatting with Everett Knight, who is the EVP of Strategy and Investments for Valens GroWorks. They are the largest third-party extractor in Canada, and maybe one of the largest in the world. And he's an awesome guy. He's super smart. They just put out some really interesting data that I think will be really cool for our audience to hear. And they're just nice people. Obviously they're a client. So, but regardless of that, they're just really nice, cool people. So I'm excited to talk to them.
Awesome. Well, let's get to it.
Everett, welcome to the Green Rush. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
We're great. So we're really excited to talk to you. We apparently have been on an extraction kick here at the Green Rush. A few weeks ago, we had Shay Aldretti from Gen X on, who was talking about his operation in the extraction market in California. And today we are going to talk north of the border extraction with you guys. So Valens is the largest extractor in Canada. And have we decided that you're the largest third-party extractor in the world?
It's for cannabis specific.
Okay. So we can say that.
Yeah, I think so. We were just told that the other day that we were had the largest capacity for a third-party manufacturing of a public company not only in Canada but around the world now.
Well, that's awesome. So can you tell our listeners a little bit about, in your own words, what Valens is and what differentiates you guys?
Yeah. So at Valens, we're as you said, we're the largest extraction company in Canada and the largest public extraction company in the world with capacity. And what we do is we focus on 5 different types of extraction for cannabis, and we do it for a variety of different clients. Some of the largest clients in the world, whether it's Canopy Growth, Tilray, Hexo, the Green Organic Dutchman, Organigram, among other very important clients as well. And we've signed 9 publicly announced contracts in Canada where we do a tolling, a fee-for-service extraction. And for those of you that aren't familiar with extraction, we basically take the dried cannabis or dried hemp or the trim, and we turn it into an oil, and then we also can put it into a product. And how we've kind of developed is we were only extraction only, and now a lot of our customers want us to put it in products so we really started to be the first collab in Canada where we're working with our customers to create and manufacture custom products for them. And this is especially exciting in Canada with edibles and concentrates coming on by October 17th in the regulations of this year in 2019. I think you're going to see a variety of different products on the shelf. So currently we're doing tincture bottles, 2-piece caps, and once the other products are available later this year, we're going to be doing vape pens, cannabis-infused beverages, and edibles, and kind of being a custom manufacturer for some of the largest producers in the world.
So you're not a direct-to-consumer. You don't have your own brands. You're only white label or like back office guys, right? There is no Valens product.
Correct. Now, this is very important because we're completely independent. We're 100% third party. So we do not compete with our customers. We really focus on trying to allow our customers to have the best products on the shelf. And in Canada, it's really tough right now because when you look at the labeling on products, there's a big sign that basically says you're going to you could die on the pretty much basically says that on the label. It's very similar to tobacco here in Canada, so it's hard to brand, and it really has to come from quality of product.
Wait, it says on cannabis products you can die?
Well, you should go look at the label online. I encourage everyone to look at those of you that are listening in the U.S. and haven't seen a Canadian label, but it's very similar to tobacco labeling in Canada for cannabis products. So you only can have your actual symbol for your actual company and your product name, and that's it. And that's your brand.
Well, and Louis, I'm jumping out of order here, so sorry. But Everett, you kind of touched on it. You're working with some of the largest players in the industry, and that kind of makes you the Switzerland of the cannabis industry, meaning you work with them all and you wish them all great success. But a lot of these big LPs also have extraction facilities. So are you finding that you're competing with them for more of that business, or more complementing them, or are you guys frenemies, or how does that work?
No. We're really a complement to the current services. And if you look at most LPs, they want, like everyone's saying, okay, maybe we'll put a CO2 machine in house, but we're never going to do an ethanol or hydrocarbon type of extraction in house. And we offer 5 different types of extraction. So we offer not only CO2, supercritical, subcritical, we offer ethanol extraction, hydrocarbon extraction, solventless extraction, and terpene extraction. So I think it's the variety, and for everyone to get bomb-proof rooms in the C1D1, C1D2 facilities and actually invest in that, it takes a lot of money. And for our customers, they're just saying, okay, we don't have enough extraction capacity currently in-house. Why don't you help us with that today? But then why don't you also complement our services? And there's going to be a big difference in actually extraction quality. I feel like extraction is a theme right now, not only here in Canada, but it seems like around the US, but there's different quality of extraction. And just because you buy a machine off the shelf doesn't mean you know how to use it to the greatest capabilities of the extent that it could be used. And with us, we applied for our first license actually in 2012. And we've had a ton of experience. I like to say our top 10 extraction guys in-house have over 100 years of cannabis extraction experience. So when you look at our product and quality, as the market matures, I think you're going to see a huge difference between us and some of our competitors. And that's why a lot of these LPs are coming up and saying, hey, we would love to actually get that full spectrum product. And we'd love to make this custom terpene vape pen that not many people can do today in Canada, and use your services accordingly.
And you work with lots and lots of different companies, some of which, like Ann said, had their own, extraction capabilities. Others are relying on you specifically. But for the ones that have their own capabilities, do they give you, a recipe and say, okay, Everett, this is what it needs to be, and you meet that? Or how do you make sure that that what you are providing to Canopy, for example, is the same as what they're providing to themselves?
Yeah, it's a great question. So all of our customers have different needs, and some people come in and say, this is the exact formulation. We've been working on this in-house. Can you guys produce this accordingly? And others come to us and say, hey, we want capsules. And we're like, okay, what type of capsules do you want? Do you want organic? Do you want vegan? What do you want? And they say, okay, well, I don't know. And then we ask them, okay, what kind of carrier oil do you want in that? Do you want MCT, rice oil, sunflower, whatever it is? We do it, and some of our clients say, oh, you know what? We don't know. What do you guys recommend? And then that's the custom manufacturing. We say, okay, maybe what are your target markets? And we work with our clients to say, okay, maybe you do a low cost one, and then we do an organic and go after more of the health market on that front. So, I mean, that's an example of one of our clients today, and I mean that's kind of the discussions that are ongoing. So it really depends on each customer and their specific needs.
That's okay. I think what you just did, though, there is this assumption that oil is oil and extract is extract, and there's no differentiation between any of this stuff. Like, you get a vape pen, and fundamentally the difference is maybe the terpenes and maybe the flavor or maybe the strain. But I think what you've just walked us through is that not all oil and all extracts are created equal. How have you guys developed this capability to do the 5 different processes, and what was the thesis behind creating Valens?
So the history, I'll maybe walk you through the history, because I think it speaks to the thesis. And our CEO, Tyler Robson, for him, his dad actually had cancer, and he started growing cannabis. His dad got a license in Canada to grow medicinal cannabis, and he started growing it and helping grow it from that standpoint. And what he really saw is that medical patients in general, they don't want you to smoke it. Right? Like, they don't want to smoke it. They want to consume it in different formats. And frankly, I've never met a doctor that wants you to smoke anything. And so what Tyler did is really spent his time on the formulation side and actually helping these patients get access to non-smoking products. And for him, when he actually took a full view of the entire market, he really saw this as the future. And even if you look at the data today, and if you look at 2016, if you look at Cowen's research, the market was just under 30% oil-based products around the U.S. Now today it's almost 50-50, and where we think that's going is it's going to be 75% oil-based products if you look at the growth rates in these different areas. So then the second step is that, okay, what products are the consumers actually going after? And it's really, I think the most interesting one today is vape pens. And vape pens, there's not just, you said there's not just one vape pen. Everyone's like, oh, I'll just get a vape pen, but what's the flavoring, right? And every time you change the terpene profile, and actually for those of you that don't know what terpenes are, terpenes come in natural formats all around and in the cannabis plant, but they're really a flavor, taste, and smell. And what that does, you can customize that. But every time you change that in your vape pen, you actually change the viscosity of the oil, and you actually have to customize the vape pen then to be actually able to pull it. So there's a lot more complications, and really we've gotten to where we are today is because our CEO Tyler had a vision very early on, and we've made a ton of mistakes. Everyone in this industry says they're the best, and we really just made a ton of mistakes and learned from our mistakes, and now are creating value-added products for the customers, and we're getting great feedback on that today.
Well, so I'm going to ask a question that I know Lewis would ask, so I'm going to jump ahead of you and say, can you talk about one of the mistakes that was made that you guys were like, I can't believe we did this, and, you know, somehow learned from it and applied something totally different for a better outcome?
Well, you know what? It's you know, there's so many examples of that, but it's one of those things that extraction, everyone's like, okay, you can actually just buy a machine off the shelf and do it, but it's a lot more complicated than that. And when you actually getting customized to products and temperatures, it's really okay. Temperature and pressure. What's good for CBD? What's good for THC? What's the decarboxylation process beforehand? What's your actual pre-processing and post-processing? And I think the whole process is kind of a constant learning curve. And even now, every day, like in our budget, we're spending a lot of money in R&D because we're at the head of our actual competition around North America and the world in extraction technologies. And what we want to do is further invest in that and always get further invest in products. We just got some new equipment from Germany, and we got it from California. We source parts from all over, but we're constantly trying to iterate, increase efficiencies, and obviously increase the quality in products. So I don't think there's any one example. There's so many just to choose from through that process.
You know, as you're talking about this, the level of sophistication that you know has come with today's extraction and refining methodologies. You know, how important does the biomass then really matter? You know, in other words, can you work with anything because the level of sophistication is so high on the extraction methodologies, or does biomass really matter too?
It definitely matters. So the biomass, what goes in is what comes out. So garbage in is garbage out. I know that's always a popular saying, but we only can extract what we get. So if you wanted us to extract THC in your plant and you had 10% of it, okay, we could get a fair amount out of that. But if you had 1% THC, we can only get a small portion. And especially when you get into these more rare cannabinoids like CBG, CBN, etc. Like some people, okay, we have a 0.1% of CBG. That is very tough to do on mass, and it doesn't make economical sense. So we do depend on what comes in, and we can obviously optimize kind of our extraction methodologies based on what we're trying to get out of that. But there's only so much what we can do. We actually need it to start in the actual input product itself.
Right now, you're focused, it seems, mostly on the medical side, and you know, as Canada continues to evolve as a rec country or an adult use country, you'll do more in that side. But cannabis as a medical, pharmaceutical grade type solution, eventually will evolve away from biomass based into biosynthesis. How are you guys thinking about biosynthesis? Because at some point, it's going to be like we don't get aspirin from the bark of a willow tree anymore. We're not necessarily going to get CBD or THC from the plant, from the marijuana plant. So where are you guys thinking, or how are you guys thinking about biosynthesis?
Yeah, I think it's a great it's a great topic to discuss because it's really the future of cannabis. And my background was in more of the portfolio management side, where I actually managed a cannabis fund, and I've made investments in particular biosynthesis type companies. But where we really see it, I think THC and CBD from an economic standpoint today, I think it's going to be very tough to compete with more of the crops, the actual cultivation, especially when you go to these foreign countries and you're growing for low. So biosynthesis, I really see the future in the rare cannabinoids, and where people can't get enough. Just like I was saying, there's that CBG was only 0.1%, that CBN was only 0.3%. And I think that's really where the future is. And the brilliant part about kind of our position in the industry is that we really can source that now. So we're in discussions with lots of biosynthesis companies or biosynthetic companies that we can actually source now. Okay, if you want CBC in that and you guys can't get it, now once this company creates it, we can actually put it in house and add that to the formulation. So I think for us, it's really an opportunity, especially on the formulation side, as people get more customized in the effects and impacts of the actual cannabis itself, whether you want sleep, or you want to feel bliss, or you want to feel arousal, or whatever else kind of you want to do. But it's really the customization of that, and I think that's what we're best in class at.
Anne had mentioned the biomass issue, and whenever we talk with anybody who's in the extraction industry, their biggest challenge is actually securing biomass, and there is a dearth right now in Canada of plant. How are you guys locking in, your biomass sources, and are you flower, trim? I mean, how do you look at biomass generally?
Yeah, we kind of rely on our customers, and it's whatever they send us. So we don't care what we get. We can do hemp, we can do cannabis, we can do trim. Whatever's best for our customers, we'll extract in house to their specifications. So I mean, our model is really signing 2 to 4 year contracts. So we have, the unique thing about our company is we have a lot of visibility in our revenues and EBITDA because of that, because we're saying, okay, this contract has a minimum of 30,000 kilograms the first year, 50,000 kilograms the second year, right? And that's what we're doing with clients. So then we have a calendar in house where we can actually see, okay, this is the shipment we're supposed to get on this date. This is what we're supposed to do with it. And we can actually prepare for that. So as much as everyone calls us a cannabis company, we really view ourselves as a service company with cannabis knowledge. And we don't take any of the risk on the front end where we're not growing it. Our customers really get it to us in house. And then we don't take any risk on the back end of actually selling it, because we just give them a product that they can actually go to the market for. So we're just trying to allow and help our customers. As far as shortages and kind of the Canadian market as it comes and develops, I think what you're seeing is a huge ramp up. And if you look at the greenhouses coming online later this year in the back half, I think what you're going to see is a big ramp up in actual cultivation and hemp biomass, and that's what we're seeing from our customers today. Even in the first quarter, we did 1.8 million grams of actually extraction. But if you look at the 55 days subsequent to our first quarter end, we did almost 5 million grams. So you can see the ramp up in the Canadian market. It's coming, and I think it's even going to go more rapid in the back half of this year as more cultivation comes online.
We talked earlier that 2018 was obviously transformative for Canada, making flower, oil, and capsules legal. But almost as soon as people were celebrating October 2018, people already started preparing for October 2019, which will allow additional products into the market, like you alluded to. So, is this ramp up in direct preparation for that? And how are you just storing it all up? Like how does that work? Like, is it gonna,
these,
are
like,
the
vats
floodgates
of oil
or like gummy bears just sitting there waiting? Like, what does that look like?
Yeah, so right now, all of our customers are starting to prepare for the edibles market. So if you look at everyone's getting to a distillate stage or winterized oil stage where they can actually base that and put that into either a cannabis infused beverage, an edible. So I think what you're going to see is that further ramp up and people are ready because the regulations haven't come out yet. So everyone's waiting on what they can actually make and trying to customize their equipment to have flexibility. And once we see those regulations, then once you kind of ramp up and actually have the oil in house, you can actually then create the product. So I think what's happening right now is everyone's preparing for it, and all the vaults will become more and more full. Is what I think in the back half of the year with oil-based products. So that once these come online, they can come to market with whatever experience they want, and we can help them with that.
But I'm just picturing like Scrooge McDuck sitting in the back there going, I've got all the oil. It's mine.
No, you know what I'm picturing is, and we're definitely watching too much Game of Thrones, but like preparing for the battle with the Night King and getting all the dragon glass ready and just like preparing for that moment and kind of just waiting with bated breath. So, okay, we're nerds and we're moving on.
Well, we're hoping there's no dragons or battle. Come on.
Oh, yeah. Oh, for sure. So I want to talk about the study a little bit, unless Lewis, you wanted to did you have something else you wanted to?
No. But I have to tell you, Everett, I have to apologize. Ann and I have been doing this for like 85 episodes. And the first like 10, we used to step on each other all the time. And then we got into this really good groove of like 70 where we didn't step on each other once. And today, I don't know what it is, man, but we are all in each other's face.
It's raining in LA. That's what it is. So, so you guys came out with a really interesting study called "The Future of Cannabis in Canada," and we just did a webinar talking about some of the findings, which we'll definitely stick into the show notes here. But why did you guys decide to do this study?
Yeah, I think it's very important for companies like ours and every stakeholder in this cannabis industry to invest in data, because it's such a brand new industry. Everyone's got to realize we're still in the second inning of a long-term growth industry, especially on the extraction and formulation front. And for us, it's very important to invest in data. And this was the largest study, and it was actually happened 2 months after legalization. So it was the first study and the largest actually sample size to get a real kind of what's happening, what are Canadians thinking. And it's important for our customers as they actually formulate their products and pick their target markets. But it's important for the whole cannabis industry as we kind of push forward and invest in data, because that's how you know the future. So when a customer comes to us and asks us, hey, what should I be making, right? We're producing all this oil through you guys. Should we do tincture bottles? Should we do vape pens? What should we produce with you guys? And we can direct them, say, okay, this is the data we're seeing today, and this is where this market is, and we think you should do this. And we can help them, and it's based on their strategy. Everyone has a different target market they're going after and everything else. But for us, it's just trying to be that middleman to help them have the best product on the shelf.
I love this industry, and as somebody who is a consumer, I'm always looking for the next cool new thing. And innovation for any industry, it's the life's blood of what moves it forward. But it seems like for cannabis, from a product perspective, there hasn't really been a lot of like new. Right, sure. There's like live resin or shatter, but that's all basically, syncopation off of the same theme of extraction. You like that, huh?
We're all gonna have to look that up, but go ahead.
Yeah, you guys are like, the way I think of you, you're almost like the BASF of cannabis, right? Like you make the products that are better. From an innovation perspective, are there form factors or things that you guys are thinking about or either designing and are bringing to your clients or being asked to fulfill that we should be looking forward to seeing in the next 18 months? And if not, are you talking to your clients about getting up off their asses and thinking more creatively than just, we'll do a gummy bear and a gummy worm?
I tell you what products we're coming up with, but then I'd have to kill you. So no.
Please don't kill me.
No. I think that for customers, like there is some really cool ideas happening, and I can't get into any of the details, but you will see them on the shelf. But I think there is a lot of creative ideas coming that people should look out for. So I won't. I think you should just keep an eye out for it. But what I will say is I think it's going to start more generic. Overall is kind of big picture, 1,000 foot level. Like, I mean, you're looking down at this industry. We're this is our first shot at legalizing edibles, right? So what goes on the shelf, I think everyone's just going to try to get product on the shelf. And then if you look at the back half of really 2020, I think you're really going to see the products and cool products come out as we get to know the regulations and people can actually invest in their manufacturing lines, because people don't realize how much it takes to say, okay, we're going to invest in this vape pen line, or we're going to make this bottling line, or we're going to make this kind of edible line. And that all takes time and money, and people, there's a lot of people that are saying, okay, I think I know what's there, but they're hesitant to really invest in on a large scale today.
Well, Canopy's relationship with Constellation, everybody's been thinking is going to result in this, explosion of food product and drinks and because of the restriction, Canopy, regardless of what their relationship now with Acreage is, they're not able to take advantage of the free market here in the U.S. in states like Colorado and Nevada and California, where you can basically do whatever the hell you want. But Constellation has all of this amazing, R&D on drinks and on food. Do you think that we're going to start to see some of that percolate up into Canada, in October? And if that's giving away the farm, then you're going to have to kill me again.
Yeah, that was probably a bad analogy, but no, I think you definitely will see that. Like even working with ingredient houses and actually formulating, I think this industry is still in the beginning innings. I think we see more of that than a lot of different people of saying, okay, what ingredient house do you use, right? Like, whoa, do you have specific formulations that you want to bring into this industry? And there's very sophisticated players like Constellations and others that already have those, and they are getting ready. And I think people will be surprised at some of the cool products on the shelf coming online, going into edibles and concentrates.
You'll have to come back then.
Yes, please. And samples travel well.
Not across borders, though. Again, Lewis.
Look, I'm trying to get shot.
I'm trying to keep you out of jail, dude.
All right, fine. Can we talk a little bit about your personal cannabis journey? Ours, Ann and I have talked now for a couple of years publicly about how we both have come to use the plant and how we came to be involved in the industry. What about you?
Yeah, so my journey really started 6.5 years ago when I was managing a small cap fund, and I really saw the firsthand benefits of medicinal cannabis in family and friends. And I kind of realized I wasn't smart enough to know it was going to be legalized so quickly. that I assure you, it was all luck. But what I really believed is in the medicinal aspects of this product. So we ended up being one of the first mutual funds in the fund I managed to actually invest in the space. And then we actually had a doctor client that came to us and said, hey, I want more exposure to the cannabis space. And frankly, we wanted more exposure ourselves. So we created the first long-only institutional cannabis mandate in Canada at the time. And then we kind of grew the team and rounded up and launched a private equity fund as well. But really through that period, I got to tour 85 plus facilities, and now I'm over 100 facilities today, cannabis facilities across Canada and the world. And we had over 1,200 companies in our universe through this time frame. So it was really, for me, it was really in the last 1.5 to 2 years that my interest really went to the ancillary businesses, because when you look at EBITDA margin and gross margins and EBITDA stability, I came fascinated with the extraction and formulation and product development side of things. And because if you look at a lot of the companies in the space, not only do they have EBITDA stability, but they have the highest margins. And I think it's really the future of the industry from my perspective when I see the medicinal side going more to the oil-based, and I see the recreational side going more to the oil-based. So I toured facilities across California, Washington, Colorado, and in Canada, and I came across Valens, and I saw what they were doing and saw how much farther ahead they were than everyone else, and the proprietary technology and the team that was there. And I actually ended up being one of the largest institutional shareholders of Valens and getting really close to the story. And I guess I liked it too much because I joined the company as of January 1st as Executive Vice President of Strategy Investments here in 2019.
So it's like the Men's Warehouse. Not only do I own the place, I'm its best customer.
No, it's Hair Club.
Oh, I wasn't going to say that because I don't know. Everett, how is your hair? Do you have a thick,
Everett
luxurious
has a lovely
head
head of hair from his photo, from his bio.
Okay. I wasn't gonna make any aspersions on whether he was bald or not. So
it just depends on what day. Then
depends how the stock's doing, right?
Yeah. Well, let's talk. Can we talk about the capital markets? As an executive in a public company, has there been things about the capital markets that have surprised you, disappointed you, frustrated you?
Yeah, I think that everyone's still learning, right? So I think from a capital market standpoint, Canada's been a great place to actually be at the forefront of the capital for this industry where you can raise capital. And I think investors, not only in Canada now and around the world, are finally seeing that we are in the second inning and this is going to be a legitimate industry and it's going to be a gigantic industry worldwide, where I've seen estimates of $180 billion medical market around annually around the whole world, right? And I think people are starting to realize that. But the information still, everyone needs to be careful about the information, because since it's such a brand new industry, the learning curve to get up. I mean, I joke around with everyone, but I only started investing in this industry 5.5 years ago, and everyone's like, "Oh, well, Everett's a grandfather.
You're a veteran
in cannabis," and it's funny to joke around about, but it's true. Like, people weren't investing in it until the last few years, and I think the knowledge and the learning curve is a big one. Just like oil and gas or technology, people need to get informed. And when people come out with new technologies, or everyone says they're the best, and the differentiation, it's very tough for investors today. And I think that for me, I mean, I'm biased. I was a portfolio manager, so I would always say get financial advice when you're looking at these opportunities, and someone that's actually doing due diligence and hard work. But it's also been a great spot for people to launch forward into the industry and get enough capital, not only to become just a Canadian name, but a global cannabis company like ourselves.
And just as a reminder, we're talking with Everett Knight from Valens GroWorks. A couple of weeks ago, KCSA released a survey that we did of investors. We talked to, we asked thousands of people, and we got a couple hundred responses about their exposure to the capital markets. And one of the things that blew me away was, for U.S. retail investors, 50% of them have sold other equities, whether it be General Motors or General Mills, to buy cannabis company stocks. Have you guys seen an awareness and an acceptance of your company and other companies like yours listed in Canada amongst U.S. retail investors?
For sure. I think the U.S. investor market is developing quite rapidly. I think there's more and more marketing trips, more and more people you're seeing actually as shareholders of the companies in the U.S., especially as people list on the NASDAQ and get OTC listings. It's just developing further, and they're getting more educated very quickly. And I know it was constrained to invest. A lot of the banks wouldn't allow it, or still don't allow it. And it's still a tough way to invest, but a lot of investors now are finding ways to invest in the cannabis industry. And I think that's only going to develop going forward. And again, I think this is, from my background, from my standpoint, again, everyone, please consult a financial advisor. But I think this is one of the best growth industries we will ever see in our lifetime. And it's really rare for people to actually see it start in the second inning and be able to invest in it and see it grow alongside you, not only in Canada or the U.S., but globally. And I think a lot of the retail investors in the U.S. now see that. And I think more and more investors around the world are seeing that today.
It's still crazy to me how, we are in this business all day long, every day, but still, how much education still needs to happen. I mean, there are people who call me, family members or friends who know that I'm in the industry, and are asking me for stock tips. And I'm like, I'm not that person. Talk to your financial advisor. And they're like, I have, and they don't know. So it's just such a huge opportunity out there for companies like yours to really, educate these influencers for people's money, to be very rudimentary about it, I guess. But so to pivot a little bit back to Valens GroWorks. So you guys also do a podcast called Extracted. And this kind of goes hand in hand with the study that you're doing, and you're really investing in yourselves and investing in the space and investing in the education side of it. Can you talk about why you guys wanted to make a podcast? You're so busy in the day to day, and you found it this important to kind of carve out that space and that time to put this piece of content out there. Why did you guys decide to do that?
Well, we have a unique position in the industry where we don't compete with anyone, and we're really a service provider. And I think for us, the podcast really came about because we wanted to show off our customers, first of all, but show off leaders in the industry and push this industry forward. Because I think as a big company, everyone is getting in this industry and they think, okay, there's a lot of money to make, everyone can do this, but we have an obligation to actually have data and to put experts and to create a knowledge base, even like the investors I was talking about that people aren't informed yet. It's just a way for people to get more involved in the industry. And for us, it gives us a unique opportunity to show off some of the fantastic customers that we have and some of the fantastic people in this industry, because there's a lot of people that are paving the way in new aspects, whether it's technology behind the industry, it's cultivation, it's different extraction technologies. And what the best part about us is that being a service company, we can showcase all of those in one spot. So that's really the point of the overall podcast.
Okay, I think we are just about at the end of our time with you. We want to be respectful, and this has been really fascinating. And we ask everybody at the end pretty much the same question. If you woke up tomorrow and you were reading the Globe and Mail or the Wall Street Journal, what's the one story that you think that they haven't covered generally? And it could be about you guys, but more broadly about the industry that they're missing. Like, what's the one story that you think the media just isn't paying attention to?
I think everyone's underestimating the formulation and product development angle of this industry, and I think that in the customization of experiences. So today there's some great brands even in the U.S. where it's saying, okay, on your vape pen you show sleep, right? Or someone says this product creates arousal or whatever else. But the formulations, we're really customizing formulations, and even my analogy in this is usually you can have a 15% THC cannabis and then 25% THC cannabis, and you think that you're going to get higher or feel more high on the 25%. But if you add specific terpenes and different combination of cannabinoids, you can actually feel more high on the 15% strain. So what we're recognizing today is that the combination will actually build the customization of experiences. And we're working with a lot of our customers on that front and to build the not only the flavor profiles that everyone thinks about in these things, but also the customization of the actual feeling that everyone's doing. And I think people underestimate the ability. We're still in the beginning innings of research in this industry, and medicinal studies are still coming up. But I think people underestimate that, and research is really going to drive it, and consumer kind of overall observation. But I think it's one area of the industry that I think is very interesting, and brands will differentiate themselves based on experiences. And I think that's the most important takeaway. And we're really excited to be a part of that with our customers.
I have one more. So sorry, we lied.
And I actually have one after you too.
So we're just big liars, Everett. So are you getting a lot of companies coming to you for other cannabinoids other than CBD and THC? You've mentioned that before, but I'm just wondering what percentage of that is your business versus people coming and saying, I just need straight THC or straight CBD?
Yeah, I think it's still in the early innings. Like some of our customers are looking into that, but it's still, I think everyone on the market today is like, I want CBD and I want THC, but there's 140 different cannabinoids in this plant. And our customers are like, being some of the largest in the world, they are becoming way more sophisticated on this front and actually trying to formulate and customize. I think majority of what's happening and will happen in the next few years will be CBD and THC. But when you look at the future in the next 2 to 5 years, I think it's really going to shift into that customization.
You talked about brands. How are you seeing brands in Canada differentiate themselves, given the restrictive nature around packaging, around marketing? how are they doing it?
Yeah, I think everyone's doing it in a different way, but it really comes down to the actual consumer experience and quality of product in Canada. Like I said at the beginning, like these labels, when you have a label on a bottle that's like, oh, you may die if you take this, it kind of scares people off, and you can't put like your pink your pink label on it, or like a celebrity on the front of the bottle. You really have to do it by product quality, and I think people are trying to come up with creative names, and they're doing a great job of kind of what they can do in the current regulations. But the bottom line, I think the biggest differentiator today is quality of product, and if you read the reviews, I think that really has been driving the sales, and I think will continue to drive the sales going forward.
Awesome.
That was great.
Thanks, Everett.
Well, thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it.
Our thanks again to Everett Knight from Valens GroWorks. Check them out at valensgrowworks.com. That's VALENSGROWORKS.com. Check them also out on Twitter at Valens GroWorks. As always, if you want to chat with us or send us mean things about Game of Thrones, you can reach us on Twitter at @the_greenrush and on Instagram at @thegreenrush_podcast. Don't forget to subscribe, and don't forget to email us, greenrush@kcsa.com. One take, Shay. One take.
Dracarys.